In World War II, air combat wasn't just about speed, it was about survival. Some aircraft didn't just win battles, they reshaped entire air wars. Today, we're ranking the top 10 WW2 fighter aircraft based on real combat effectiveness, pilot success, and battlefield performance. And yes, we'll talk about the pilots who made them deadly.
At number 10, from Italy, the Macchi C205 Veltro. By the time it entered service, Italy was already struggling in the war. But this aircraft was a serious attempt to compete with the best fighters of its time. Powered by a license-built German engine, the C205 combined strong speed with excellent maneuverability. In skilled hands, it could challenge early Spitfires and even some Bf 109 variants. Italian pilots who flew it often described it as one of the few aircraft that finally gave them confidence in aerial combat. But there was one major problem: timing. Production delays, limited numbers, and Italy's collapsing war effort meant the C205 never had the chance to prove itself on a large scale. A fighter with real potential that arrived too late to matter. At number 9, from the Soviet Union, the Yakovlev Yak 3. This was one of the most dangerous low-altitude dogfighters of the entire war. Designed to be light and aggressive, the Yak 3 excelled in close-range turning fights on the Eastern Front. German pilots quickly learned that engaging it below 5,000 meters was a risk they couldn't always afford. Soviet aces used its agility to outturn and outclimb heavier German fighters in brutal, fast engagements. However, its design came with clear limits. Short range, light armament, and poor high-altitude performance meant it couldn't dominate across all combat scenarios. A razor-sharp dogfighter, but only in the right battlefield conditions.
At number 8, from Japan, the Mitsubishi A6M Zero. In the early years of the Pacific War, the Zero was nearly untouchable. Allied pilots were shocked by its turning ability and range, which allowed it to dominate vast ocean battle zones. For many early encounters, experienced Japanese pilots achieved extremely favorable kill ratios against less prepared Allied forces. But the aircraft had a fatal weakness. It was built for agility, not survival. Minimal armor and lack of self-sealing fuel tanks meant even small bursts of fire could be deadly. As American tactics improved and new fighters entered service, the Zero's advantage disappeared. From sky dominator to vulnerable target. At number 7, from the United States, the P47 Thunderbolt. This aircraft looked heavy, and it was, but that weight became its greatest strength. Built like a flying tank, the P47 could absorb damage that would destroy most fighters. Its powerful engine allowed it to dive at extreme speeds, making it deadly in boom and zoom attacks. While it wasn't the most agile dogfighter, it became one of the most effective ground attack aircraft in Europe, destroying armored vehicles, trains, and enemy positions with devastating firepower. Pilots valued one thing above all: survival. And the Thunderbolt delivered exactly that. Not the most elegant fighter, but one of the hardest to kill. At number 6, also from the United States, the F4U Corsair. In the Pacific Theater, this aircraft earned a fearsome reputation. With its distinctive inverted gull wing design and massive engine, the Corsair was incredibly fast and powerful. Early carrier landing issues delayed its deployment, but once resolved, it became one of the most dominant naval fighters of the war. Marine Corps pilots used it to achieve highly effective kill ratios against Japanese aircraft, especially in the final years of the Pacific Campaign. It combined speed, durability, and firepower into a single aggressive platform. A hunter built for domination over the Pacific skies. At number 5, from the United Kingdom, the Supermarine Spitfire. Few aircraft evolved as successfully throughout the war as the Spitfire. From defending Britain during its darkest hour to dominating late-war European skies, it remained relevant through constant upgrades in engine power, armament, and performance. RAF aces like Johnny Johnson flew Spitfires with exceptional skill,
contributing to some of the most effective Allied fighter operations in Western Europe. Its greatest strength wasn't just performance, it was adaptability. A fighter that never stopped improving until the war ended. At number 4, from Germany, the Messerschmitt Bf 109. This was the backbone of the Luftwaffe and one of the most produced fighters in aviation history. It was flown by some of the most successful pilots of all time, none more famous than Erich Hartmann, who achieved 352 confirmed aerial victories, the highest recorded in history. Hartmann's tactics were simple but effective. Attack from advantage, strike quickly, and disengage before the enemy could react. The Bf 109 rewarded discipline and skill, and in experienced hands, it became one of the most lethal aircraft of the war. But as Allied designs improved, its limitations became more apparent. A pilot's aircraft that demanded perfection to survive. At number 3, from Germany, the Focke-Wulf Fw 190. When Allied pilots first encountered it, many were caught off guard. It was fast, heavily armed, and incredibly responsive in role, giving it a major advantage in combat maneuvers. On the Eastern Front, pilots like Otto Kittel used it with devastating effectiveness, building some of the highest kill totals of the war. Its versatility made it one of Germany's most respected fighters, capable of both air superiority and ground attack roles. It was feared not because of one weakness or strength, but because it had almost none. A complete combat aircraft, built for dominance. At number 2, from the United Kingdom, the late war Supermarine Spitfire variants, especially the Mark 14. With powerful engines and improved armament, it could match or even outperform late war German fighters in speed and climb. By this stage of the war, RAF pilots were highly experienced, and in the right conditions, Spitfire units achieved extremely effective kill ratios in European air combat. It represented the peak of continuous evolution, a design pushed to its absolute limits, the refined version of an already legendary fighter. At number 1, from the United States, the North American P51 Mustang. This aircraft didn't just fight in the war, it helped end it. With long-range capability, it solved one of the biggest problems in the European air war: bomber protection deep inside enemy territory. Before its arrival, Allied bombers were highly vulnerable. After the Mustang entered escort service, Luftwaffe interception became far more dangerous and costly. German pilots increasingly found themselves outnumbered, outclassed, and out of time. The Mustang didn't just win dogfights, it dismantled the Luftwaffe's ability to sustain itself. A fighter that didn't just win battles, but reshaped the entire air war. But here's the truth about World War II fighters. No aircraft was unbeatable. Victory came down to pilot skill, fuel availability, numbers, and timing. If you had to fly into World War II combat, which fighter would you trust your life with?